What's up everyone, Kaze no What If is here with What If Luffy traveled back in time. Before we start, if you like the video, like it, share with your friends, comment, and let's start the video. Wake up, morons. Nico's voice woke the other two up from their rest. They leaned up in the ships and looked around into the wide open ocean. What? Luffy yawned. He stretched his limbs and now he was fully wide awake. Island. There's the island. We're heading to Syrup Village on Gecko Islands. It's a small inhabited island south of Shell's town. Zora, now paying attention, sat up and the blankets fell from her lap. She placed her hand above her eyebrows and looked forward. All she could see was a lousy island with high cliffs on its borders. There wasn't much to be seen on that island. It was only a small village and not even a marine base. What's there? I thought it would be best if we found a ship here, Nico remarked with a prideful tone. Ah, finally some meat. Luffy moaned as his stomach growled. Ever since he came back to this time, he hasn't eaten his normal share of food. And some sake. Zora added as she raised her hand like a pose. She had an eager smile on her dark-skinned face. It was about time she could fulfill her thirst. You guys. Nico grumbled. They were too simple-minded when they had other things to find. We still need a chef, Docto Dash. Musician. Luffy cheered with both of his arms in the air. Nico sighed. Maybe getting through with them was harder than he first thought. These people call themselves a pirate crew, but they had nothing in their disposal other than fighting skills. Even he knew of the great dangers that lasted on the sea. Gecko Island. Their two boats docked along the shore. Zora, being ordered by Nico, jumped down onto the sandy beach with a stake in her hand. She stretched and yawned once more. Been a while since I was on firm ground. Because you've been sleeping all the time. Luffy chuckled. The leaves on top of the cliff started to ruffle, and she paused. The stake dropped to the ground, and she held her hand on one of her sword's hilt. Luffy, being caught in the moment, searched the tree line and repeated where, over and over again. His head, much like an owl, turned fully around in search of the unseen predator. Projectiles were shot. Zora quickly spotted the attacker. She unsheathed her swords and stood her ground. The attacker had a slingshot, and shot rocks instead of ammo. We found out. Run. 3 of the unseen enemies ran away, leaving only their leader standing behind a fallen log. She sweated in fright as the 3 of them turned and stared at her, expecting something to happen. She lifted one of her arms and declared, I am Captain Eureka. Captain of the Eureka Pirates. I have a great pirate fleet that guards this island. Stepping foot on this island is a crime. She pulled a string and the bushes at the bottom of the slope. Cardboard cutouts popped behind the bushes with their weapons painted on to look as if they were ready to attack. Luffy buckled back in laughter. Tears started to form in the slits of his eyes. He never thought he would see this display again. Eureka, hurt, stepped back and her jaw dropped. Why are you laughing at the great Eureka? You're lying, Nico blurted as deadpan as ever. He rubbed his forehead with the index finger, and then crossed his arms. He could have made up a better lie than that. Ah. I've been caught. See, you just admitted it. Shots? I did. Bad planning indeed. Eureka leaned over her knees and started to sweat more than ever. She gulped as she was the only one left in front of 3 real pirates. She has a bigger ego than Zoro, Nico teased. At least she made bigger lies than you, Zoro mused. Luffy's stomach growled, and all of them looked at Eureka. Meshi. Eureka pulled up a chair to the booth table and looked at the 3 hungry pirates. Her long dark nose shifted from one direction to the other as she listened to the newcomers. "So you're looking for companions? Know any musicians?" Zora questioned, mostly for the benefit of her captain. Eureka shook her head at the random question. From the looks of it, they needed much more than musicians. "Do you know anywhere to get a large ship then?" the orange-haired male asked as he leaned over the wooden table. This is where Eureka's knowledge came into play. She snickered and pointed at the so-called captain of these pirates. "There's only one place where you can find the stuff you want in this village, although it's not a very big ship, but not that small dash." Luffy interrupted her, "It's that mansion, right?" He pointed out the window to a large white mansion on top of a hill. Eureka fell out of her chair and smacked against the ground. "I was getting there. The ship belongs to the mansion's own dash." "That sick girl." Luffy tried to pull her name out of memory, Kayla. The long-nosed eyebrows came together as she stared at the captain. "I was getting to that. And it's Kaya." She paused and tried to calm down as Luffy ordered another plate of meat, but it only hit her nerves once again. "Are you even listening to me?" Nico, paying attention at the chance of treasures, perked up. "If she's sick, then how come she's the owner of the mansion?" "Inheritance. The girl's parents died about a year ago of a sickness. She was the only child, leaving her with a large inheritance, mansion, and all of the servants." Eureka leaned back in her seat and folded her arms behind her head. "She's been grieving ever since. Even if you are really rich, no one is exempted from sorrow." Nico sighed in defeat. To ask a poor girl like that would only be a move a scumbag would make. "Let's forget about searching for a ship on this island, we'll go somewhere else. We still have time." Luffy grinned. "Mary's on this island, as was his sharpshooter, Usopp." "You said you were looking for companions?" Eureka questioned. Zora and Luffy nodded. She gave a thumbs up with her blue and white armband, brushed the tabletop, and gave a cocky smile. "Let me be captain, and I'll join you." "Never mind," Zora and Nico denied in chorus. Luffy chuckled with his head hitting the booth cushion. "What kind of attitude is that?" She sighed in defeat and rested her face on the table. The clock ticked and chimed as it hit a new hour. It was exactly time for her to leave. "It's that time again." She stood up, pushing her chair in, and left the restaurant. "That gal was in a hurry," Nico muttered. "Guess she finally figured out we have a captain," Zora added. Nico narrowed his eyes at the duckball in front of him. After interrupting Eureka twice, the captain stayed silent, but he could tell the rubber boy was moments away from causing a fuss if he didn't have his mouth full of food. "Do we even have a captain?" "Like him or not, he still has the title," Zora bellowed. "He may not be her first choice, but they still joined his crew. Which is why I worry." The door slammed open, and 3 kids burst inside. "Eureka Pirate Group is here!" They all bellowed in a chorus. In their hands were wooden swords. They were a gap away from the strength of Zora's weakest sword. "Isn't that the 3 from the slope?" the orange-haired wondered out loud. "Onion heads," Luffy uttered. "Captain." "She isn't here," the one in the orange hat uttered in a quiet voice. "It can't be. They are. She's been eaten up." The blonde stuttered. "Pirates!" one of the onion heads shouted. "What did you do to Captain Eureka? Give Captain back to us." Luffy, finished with his cup of juice, took a large bite of his meat. "Yum! What delicious meat!" "Meat?" He ate Captain. Nico raised his hand and covered his mouth. He couldn't stop grinning from ear to ear from these gullible boys. The blonde one stuttered again. "What? What did you do to the captain?" Zoro leaned her elbow on the table and faced them. She gave them the look that others came to know her as, a demon. We just ate her. It didn't help with Luffy belching right afterwards, the boys passed out. All of them couldn't hold it any longer, and they all three sat back and filled the building with laughter. Once they were calmed down, Nico looked at Luffy, what now? Make a visit to the mansion. Bulletin dash. They arrived at the mansion, and used a back entrance to get away from the bodyguards. There she was, Eureka sitting there on the tree branch. Her brown overalls covered her plain white shirt, which caused her to stick out from the tree, and her white slash around her waist didn't help much either. Eureka's outfit consists of brown, white, and some blue in her armbands. She was a total contrast from Kaya. A pale white beauty that rested near the window. A cushion was placed below the window for her to sit and meet with the lower class liar. She held onto a white feathered pillow as Eureka told her her tale of great conflict and victory. The pale girl gripped the pillow tightly on her chest and imagined it all playing out in her mind. Eureka's tone brought the words to life as the characters danced around and parried with each other. Yo! Usopp! Luffy called. Her name is Eureka, Nico grumbled. Yeah, Nami, Luffy didn't even bother. Nico stood up on his toes and smacked Luffy across the head. Alright? Eureka. The dark-toned girl was already paying attention to the fellow pirates, there was no need for them calling her out once more. Yeah. You're Akela. It's Kaya. Nico and Eureka corrected. Yeah, Kaya, whatever. We need a big ship. He stretched out his arms to the size of the old Mary. Nico was, once again, ready to smack the boy on the back of his head, but no matter how many times he published the boy's blunt personality, it was not helping it. Wasn't Luffy thinking at all about the girl's feelings and weakened state? Yet still bold enough to ask for a favor? Kaya looked shaken. Was that a devil fruit? Much like the other two pirates, they never seen a devil fruit user before. They heard old wife tales about them, but this was the first time witnessing it. Why you stretched? Eureka gulped. She was so frightened that she leaned too much on the branch and fell down, hitting her head first on the impact. She rubbed her achy head and slowly lifted her body up to look at the pirates. These pirates were getting scarier every moment. Yeah. I ate the gum gum no me, so I'm a rubber boy. You have a ship, right? Rubber boy. No wonder you could eat so much. Eureka stumbled. It was inhuman to eat that amount of food in the same setting, and it was bad enough left on her tab. How much did he eat? How will I ever repay that, she thought. At the time, she didn't say anything because the news of them being pirates made her a bit frightened, and she was more focused on other things. What are you doing here? A butler, in a black uniform, came out and pointed at the lowlifes. Much like Kaya, he was pale as the moon from the ending leaving the mansion. His glasses fitted his nose awkwardly, which was more present when he lifted them up with his palm, and they end up sliding down anyways. Kaya gave a small gasp and looked at her butler, Kalahari. Oh, the butler, Eureka's nose rose. Kalahari, these people are dash. The butler stepped up and looked at the low classes. Whatever you have to said, can be stated later. Please leave. I want Mary. No way, he said, as emotionless as ever. Luffy sighed in defeat, then he remembered this guy was the bad guy. He didn't have to listen to him, he just needed Kaya to give Mary to them and Usopp can join. Yeah, that's how it went. The butler turned and glanced at the lair, Eureka-chan. You are her, correct? I've heard quite some rumors about you. The villagers have a way of words when it comes about you. Oh, thank you. Eureka's ego was as large as ever. Luffy could see this going downhill fast, but he stayed in the same spot as Zora tried to comfort him, thinking he was sighing in defeat from Kalahari rejecting his favor. You may call me Captain Eureka. The guard said you have been lurking inside of these gates, bothering Ms. Kaya while she's resting. I was catching a mole for her. It was loose in the backyard and dash. He gave a small chuckle. You can certainly lie well. I have also heard about your father, Usopp, I believe. You're just a filthy daughter of a pirate who came to munch off of Kaya's kind spirit. He lifted his glasses once again. I'm not surprised you turned out a liar from your birthrights. Filthy daughter. Eureka repeated. The words burned inside of her. You and Ms. Kaya belong to different worlds. If you are looking for money, name your price, and we can settle this now. Kalahari. Kaya's voice screeched, apologize to Eureka-san at once. There is no reason for me to apologize to this scum. I have only been stating the truth. Eureka may be a liar, but you are the worst one. Luffy's temper finally reached rock bottom. He pointed at Kuro and glared at him. Filthy daughter. Scum. Liar. He still didn't know what happened between these two, but Eureka shouldn't be treated like this. Kalahari turned around and looked at the rookie pirates. His glasses glinted in the sunlight, but his gray eyes showed no emotions. I do believe this is none of your business, pirate. But I will apologize to Eureka-chan, for having a pirate for a father, who deserted his family and village. You two probably resent him, don't you? Because he is an idiotic treasure hunter who left his family behind in exchange of chasing his dreams. Kalahari. Kaya screamed. I'm the only one who can say bad things about my father. You have no right to. Why are you so angry? You should have kept to your usual lies and tell everyone your real father is a traveling merchant, or you and him aren't blood related. That was the last straw. Eureka thrusted forward and slammed her fist into Kuro's jaw. Shut up. Now Luffy knew why he was waiting. He was waiting for Eureka to fight for her beliefs. So violent. Bad blood runs through you. Shut up. My dad was a pirate and followed his dreams. I may had a grudge against him, but he's my dad and I'm proud of him. His pirate blood runs through me, and I'm proud of that. I'm a daughter of a pirate. She took a breath. He's a brave warrior of the sea, and that is something I'm proud of. Pirates as brave warriors of the sea? That is twisting the truth, little girl. It's because of your bloodline that you enjoy lying and using violence to settle everything. You only got close to Kaya-san for her riches. What the hell are you talking about? No one knows your motive, but being the heir of a pirate is enough reason for me to kick you out. Don't you dare say that. Eureka took a hold of his shoulder and raised her fist. Eureka-san. Stop. Please. Don't use violence. Kaya cried from the window. He's only protecting me, that's why he's a little extreme. Kuro wasn't fighting back. Luffy thought. He made Eureka look like the bad guy here. No wonder everyone else didn't believe Usopp back then. That fact alone made Luffy want to punch the fuck out of the pirate, but Zora held him back. Kalahari slapped Eureka's hand away, and coldly stated, "Get the hell out of here. Savages like you are not welcomed. I will let you off this time, but next time you will not be so lucky." Eureka turned her back and began walking away. Fine, I understand. I will never come back here again. The three children of Eureka's pirates stood by the fence and called out to her. She didn't even glance their way. Before Luffy left, he spitted in Kuro's direction. He knew of the guy's plans, but Eureka needed to hear it first. "Filthy pirates," he repeated under his breath as he cleaned his glasses. The sun was already starting to set, but he made it there. On top of the cliff that overlooked the ocean and sloped down below. It took him a while to find the exact spot. How he found it the first time was still unknown. Eureka laid under the tree and picked petals off of a flower. The yellow flower came from a flower patch on the other side of the tree. "I am brave. I am not. I am brave, I am not." She kept going until there were only 2 petals left. She narrowed her eyes and threw the flower off the cliff. "Yo!" Luffy hopped down from the tree. "Ah!" Eureka screeched and smacked her head against the bark. "Why would you do that? Ouch! That hurts." She moaned as she rubbed her head that was covered with her curly black hair. Even if it was in a pony tie, it was still unruly. "How did you get here?" "I followed you." "Have you been watching me?" Her cheeks blushed in embarrassment. She would never do something like that in the presence of a stranger. "Actually, I got lost and found you again." She raised one of her eyebrows and sighed in defeat, but she was still blushing. "Did you hear any of what happened? You kept saying I am not, over and over again. I thought you were stuck in a loop or something." He was blunt honest, but also dumb if he never heard of this. "You don't know about this? Well, you get a flower and pick the petals, each one you say, 'I do this and I do this not.'" She picked up another flower to show him. It was lighter than the first one. She carefully chose her starting point. "I am Eureka. I am not. I am. I'm not. I am Eureka. I am not." She looked down and realized that was her last petal. I am Eureka." She added quickly and hid the flower from his sight. "You try." Luffy yanked on a single pastel blue flower. "USO Eureka will join my CRE dash." "Not about me," Eureka shouted. "And I'm only joining if I get to be captain." He picked another petal. "Eureka will be captain." "Eureka will not." "Eureka's captain." "She's not." "She is." "She's not." "She is." SH dash. "You cheated, didn't you? You counted the petals." "Counted?" Luffy tilted his head. He already picked the last petal off. "Hey. You're joining now. I told you, don't do them about me. You pick them for love, and other stuff relating to you. Not other people." She crossed her arms and sneered at him. I already decided Ya was going to join." "That's too bad. I'm gonna be captain of my own crew if I have to." Luffy completely ignored her and changed the subject. "You're Usopp's son, right?" "I'm a girl," she groaned. "And yeah, he's my dad. /////. Mom. Dad sent us a letter." Eureka climbed from the chair and hopped to the ground. She made her way out of the maze into his mother's room. The pale woman was lying down with a wet towel on her forehead. "Is that right, honey?" Her weak voice carried throughout the room. The small child nodded excitedly and jumped up on the wooden chair that was placed next to her bed. Bankina was handed the envelope and she broke the end of it, sliding a parchment out. Eureka swooshed closer to her mother and glanced at the letters on the parchment. The letters made out words, but she could only read the simple letters. She waited patiently for her mother to read it out loud, but first she read it to herself. The long-nosed mother carefully scanned the page for any terrorizing details before reading it loud to their daughter. "Dear Bonachan and Eureka, My travels on the Grand Sea have been great. I can't wait to tell you all that I have seen and done. When I started noting them down, I kept running out of pages, and my drunk captain isn't the best to keep around with an opened ink bottle. And just this last month, I got my first wanted poster. I couldn't be any more prouder. Thank you for talking me into this, my dear. I can never stop smiling when I'm on the high tides, but I've never stopped thinking about you two angels. How are you and Eureka doing? And the village? Has she made any new friends? Once I get back, the first thing I'm going to do is take her out on a range as long as it's fine with you, honey. Love, Yasop. Bonachina started to tear up at his honest words. Your father is the bravest man on this whole island, you hear? She wiped a tear that escaped from her eyelids. I can't wait until he comes back. I want to hear all about his travels. Eureka grinned as she hugged the torn envelope. Another paper dropped from it. The little girl took it and opened it up. It was her father smiling with his pistol aiming at the camera. Look. It's Dad, she grinned ear to ear. Of course it is, she smiled as she gazed at her husband's face. Here, pull out the box for me, dear. Once again, Eureka hopped back down to the ground and lowered herself to the floor. Her arm reached under the bed and she pulled out a small cardboard box that was missing its top. The box was heavy for her tiny arms, but luckily, her mother gently placed the letter on top. Another one for the collection. The black-haired girl smiled and raced out the house, running past the wooden cabinet that held an oak crossbow. That was the last they heard from him. Even after Bonachina died, there was no word from him. Yeah, he's my dad. She leaned against the tree and looked at the ground. She held bad feelings for Yasop, even though he was her father, and she didn't want anyone to disgrace them. Not even that butler. How did you know? I met him when I was younger. You met him? Inside, her thoughts were screaming if he was so close, then why didn't he visit me? Yeah. He looks a lot like you. Where is he now? She didn't even know if she wanted to know the answer, but something caused her to ask. I don't know. But he's a part of Shank's crew. He's my favorite out of all of Shank's crew. How long did he stay there? I don't know. Felt like a month. She frowned and picked up another flower. He loves me, not he loves me, she thought as she picked out each petal. In the end, she got he loves me, and once again, she threw the flower stem over the cliff. Oh. There's the butler. Luffy pointed down the cliff to the shoreline. Kalahari was standing there on the sandy shoreline talking to a stranger. Eureka's ears pecked up and she moved closer to the edge. Even from a distance, their conversation could be heard from there. The strange blonde nodded. Sure, I can begin anytime. The plan is to murder that mansion's owner. Mansion's owner? Eureka shuddered. Accident, Kalahari corrected with air quotes. All right, Captain Kuro, the blonde pulled down his hat. Stop calling me Captain Kuro. I got rid of that name 3 years ago. Besides, you are the captain now. The moon rose over them and Luffy tried keeping his eyes open, but the moonlight made him yawn. It was moments away from midnight, and a new day shall begin. See Captain KK Kuro, she gulped. He's a famous captain who invaded numerous towns, but he was executed 3 years ago. Looks like he's alive, Luffy pointed out. Don't worry, leave the accident to me, Django smirked to his old captain. We have to make it look like she died of illness. I don't think you understand the plan clearly. I understand it completely. Django urged. Luffy, we have to get out of here and warn the others. They are planning on killing Kaya. Eureka uttered under her breath. She glanced over and Luffy was absorbed into watching the moon. What's wrong with you? May 16. The piece of paper disappeared in thin air. It was only one of numerous others that covered the ground in a white sheet. His eyes shut completely and he fell down the cliff. His head went through the rock, and only his legs remained above the surface. She jumped up and looked down at her fallen friend. Hey. Are you okay? Oh, it's only Eureka. Kuro looked at the source of the noise. You want me to get rid of her? Django pointed at the unarmed girl. He ignored the pirate and looked at the dark-skinned. Did you hear everything? No. What did you say? I don't understand. I can't hear anything. I only got here. Kuro lifted his glasses and looked at the ground. We've been heard. One of them has already been taken care of, the blonde pointed to Luffy's body. I think he's dead for sure. Love dash. He's dead. Eureka became a nervous wreck in moments. She ran around in a circle and pulled on her unruly hair. What am I supposed to do? Eureka won't be necessary. Even if she tells us of our plan, no one in the village will listen. He looked up in the sky. I will see you a day from now. You and your crew should invade early in the morning. Until then, keep your ship hidden. Don't be too hard on the villagers, and make Kaya's death look like an accident. He smirked and looked at the nervous girl. Even if you did hear, it will not affect my plan. Eureka glanced back down at the ground, but there was no way Luffy could still be alive. Damn it, she screamed and raced away from the cliff. This is terrible. Villagers will be killed. Kaya will be killed. I love them all. I love this village. The three little boys jumped into the path and waved at the incoming Eureka. Captain. They all cheered with enormous smiles. You're back. Wasn't she with Luffy? Zora questioned with narrowed eyes. Nico stated, she's in a hurry, which means something must have happened at the coast. If Luffy wasn't with Eureka, then something bad must have happened. Zora's instinct kicked in, where's the coast? Before she could get the answer, Eureka shouted and it echoed throughout the village. Everyone! Danger! Pirates are coming! Tomorrow morning, pirates will invade this village. Everyone must escape now. Villagers started coming out of their house and glared at the girl. This is the last time, Eureka. How are we supposed to rest with you always shouting? It has been years with the same lie. Get lost. Couldn't even wait until daybreak, one of them moaned. It was only several hours past midnight. Why can't you be trustworthy like Karahatal? Stop lying all the time. But it's the truth. Even though I like to lie. Believe me. Let's escape now, or you will all be killed. Nico watched the display from their spot on top of the hill. Looks like we should help her. I don't like the sounds of this. Nico mumbled under his breath. He watched as Zora picked up her weapons and took off into the village. Don't leave me behind, she called out to the swordsman. No one said you had to follow, Zora simply stated. By the time they reached the first house, Eureka was being chased away by the villagers. She's getting chased out of her own village. Nico dejectedly remarked. Looks like she's heading to the mansion. That butler will kick her out again. Zora jumped in front of the roaring crowd, and with one glare, they were frozen. Nico watched as the villagers backtracked. Nice special attack there, the orange-haired taunted. The green-haired shifted her glare onto Nico, but the orange-haired had no reactions. she muttered under her breath and sheathed her swords. The two of them followed the dirt path in which Eureka followed moments ago. They too walked along the path and eventually stood in front of the large metal gate. They peeked through the bars and it was chaos. Eureka managed to get inside of the yard and raced to Kaya's window. The pale girl currently had tears falling from her eyes. She threw a feather pillow at the dark-skinned girl and she fell back onto the hard ground. "Why won't anyone believe me?" Eureka called out. Before the girl had time to get up, bodyguards came racing from the front of the house. They surrounded the girl and pulled her to her feet, but she was struggling against them. Zora, tired of this display, threw a rock at one of them and he let his grip out of Eureka. The girl used this and backed away from them, picking up the same rock and flung her slingshot out. She loaded the aged rock in and pulled back on the string. It launched and smacked another one right in the face. "Stop this!" Kaya shouted. Her eyes were watery as she could do nothing. She felt betrayed by her only friend, but she never wanted the girl to experience this of all things. Eureka was already thrown out once before, and that was only hours ago. "Kaya, please listen to me. Leave this village before that butler gets back." She launched another projectile at the last bodyguard. "What happened? You're not the person I once knew." The sharpshooter jumped up to the window and started trying to pull the sickly girl out. "You'll know the truth tomorrow. Let's get out of here together. Please listen to me, Kaya." That was it. Kaya looked at the ground with watery eyes and slapped her ex-friend. "The only wrong person here is you." A lamb human appeared, one of Kaya's servants, and held a gun out, aiming for Eureka. "Take your hands off Kaya-san. Don't shoot." Kaya cried. The gun was already fired. She ran. Her arm bled and she held onto it as she raced to the fence. "Eureka!" Nico called out as he grabbed onto the girl. "Are you okay?" "Aye, it's only a graze," she stated. The girl held her head down low as the blood started to darken. She couldn't even protect her best friend. No one believes her, not even Kaya. All of their lives are on the line, yet she can't get them to leave. Zora leaned on the gate and glanced their way. She sighed and took out a roll of bandages. When she handed them to the bleeding girl, she looked at her with wide grateful eyes. "Why thanks. Now tell us what happened," Zora firmly stated. She wasn't used to getting thank yous from others. "Karahador. He's gonna attack the village with this group of pirates. They are going to kill Kaya and take her money tomorrow morning. No one will believe me because I'm a liar. And that boy. He got us found out and he fell down the cliff. He died." By now, tears were flowing down her face. Her body shuddered as Nico laid a hand on her. "Luffy's dead," Nico uttered in shock. But he's rubber. This all happened at the coast." "Why yet? I ran away before I was caught, but he fell down the cliff." "He's alive," Nico claimed. He was bent low to the ground as his hand felt Luffy's heartbeat. "Idiot's just sleeping." He sighed at his captain's stupidity. But he just fell down. How could he be sleeping?" Eureka pointed to the tree they were sitting by. Both of the pirates looked at each other and said in a chorus, "It's Luffy." Luffy's body laid down on the ground from Nico and Zora pulling him out. He was breathing calmly, and everywhere else looked good even after falling from such a height. If it was someone else, they would surely die or get brutally injured in the progress, but Luffy wasn't normal. Nico looked up at the sky and calculated the time. It was only 5 hours past midnight, and they still had 24 hours to prepare for the pirate attack. "We should think of a plan." Warning the villagers isn't an opinion, the swordswoman stated. But the truth is still the truth, those pirates are going to come and invade the village. Yeah, but everyone thinks it's a lie. Tomorrow is going to be a peaceful day like any other. Eureka gained her courage and shot up from the rock. She stood proudly, so I will wait for them. I will make this become a lie. Tomorrow will be a peaceful day for them. The other two looked at this liar, but knew she wasn't lying for once. She grabbed her arm and sat back down. She was languid and pained as she sat there covered in shadows. I got shot in the arm, chased by villagers, but it is the village I have been trying to protect. I love this village, and I want to protect everyone. I can't stand it. All of them will be killed without knowing anything. Nico glanced at Zora and they shared the same thought. This was why Luffy was following her around. You are a good person after all, and it would be a shame if you end up dead. Guess we're gonna have to help, Nico finished, but he then ruined the moment once he added, of course, it will come with a price. She looked at these two people who had nothing to do with her problems. Will you help me? Why? That's what that idiot's been trying to do, he pointed over at his so-called sleeping captain. Plus, you're scared because there are many enemies, right? It's only fair if we even the field. Zora only gave a shrug. She may have only joined Luffy a few weeks ago, he was pretty predictable when it came to this stuff, but she couldn't say that about his other odd behaviors. Don't be stupid. I'll never be afraid of them. I am Captain Eureka, the greatest fighter of the sea. As soon as she shut her mouth, her legs began to shake in fright. The other two didn't even move a muscle. What are you looking at? They're Kuro pirates. Anyone would be scared. We did not laugh at you, Zora remarked. That's when she finally saw their faces. They were determined to help her. They didn't know her, yet they risked their lives. They weren't even involved with this problem, they could have already left and ventured elsewhere but they didn't. I guess there's no choice. Plus, if Kaya-san gets killed, there's no way we could get a ship, Nico added. Wide-eyed, Eureka quizzical, was that the only reason you're helping me? I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you liked it, subscribe to my channel for more fanfictions like this, and goodbye.